TikTok has a funny way of bringing back old things and making them into memes, like songs from the 2000s or more of the Twilight revival. This is kind of what happened in the case of Isabella Guzman, an 18-year-old girl who was found guilty of killing her mother in 2013. Videos of her during her trial started to go viral on TikTok when people started to duet the videos and make fun of the weird things she did during her trial. But there was a brutal murder behind these strange films. People making jokes about it on social media kind of surprised me. Today, we'll talk about Isabel Guzman's case and how her actions made her TikTok popular years later. Isabella grew up with her mom and stepdad in Aurora, Colorado. When she was young, her parents got a divorce, but they were still nice to each other and even bought a photography shop together. When they took pictures of beautiful Hawaii, Isabella's mother would sometimes work 12 hours a day to make ends meet, and many people thought she was a very hard worker. Even so, Isabella never thanked her mom for anything she did or how hard she worked to take care of her. People who knew Isabella's family knew that she was always unhappy and had a very mischievous side. She hated school, and her grades weren't great, but they weren't bad either. She stopped going to school when she turned 18, a few weeks before her last tests. When she did this, her parents were, to say the least, upset. Especially since she was so close to graduating, they felt like all those years of school were for nothing. When Isabella's mom remarried a guy named Ryan Boy, her behavior only got worse. Isabella was angry that her mom had taken the place of her dad, and she was sent to live with her dad, Robert Guzman, because she was acting so badly toward her mom. She moved back in with her mom and Ryan, but things between them didn't get better. During the weeks before the murder, Isabella's disrespect for her mother got worse and worse until one day it all blew up. During a fight, Isabella screamed at her mom and spat in her face. Ryan told the cops that Isabella scared his wife to death. After this fight, things got even worse when Yami showed him an email Isabella sent her in the middle of the night. It said, "You will pay for everything Isabella was doing," and how she was getting more and more violent with her mom. They decided to call the police. The police came to check on the family and talked to both Isabella and her mom. They told Isabella that now that she was 18, her mom and stepdad could officially kick her out of the house and make her homeless, which would be a good reason for her to change her ways. After the police left, Isabella didn't have much to say, so she went up to her room and stayed there all night. You might think that this girl sounds like a nightmare to have in your house, and I agree that living with Isabella and her behavior sounds like a lot of work. Isabella said, though, that there was more to the story. Johnny and Ryan were both Jehovah's Witnesses, which is a strict branch of Christianity that doesn't celebrate any holidays or birthdays. Isabella says that her parents treated her badly when she was a child, which is why she was so rude to them. She also says that the abuse got a lot worse after she decided at age 14 that she didn't want to be a Jehovah's Witness longer. Even though I, and Ryan were all sure that we were Jehovah's Witnesses. After the cops left, no one has been able to say whether or not Isabella was abused as a child. Youngmi chose to work for the rest of the day so she could get away from Isabella. Ryan stayed home with his stepdaughter, who went back to her room and didn't come out again until 8:30. That night, Youngmi got home from work at 9:30 and told her husband she was going upstairs to take a shower. Ryan stayed in the living room to watch TV and eat the McDonald's she brought home for him. A few minutes later, Ryan heard banging and beating coming from the upstairs bathroom and Yummy calling out for him. He went to look into it. Before she shut the door in his face, he saw Isabella in the bathroom with her mother. Ryan tried very hard to get into the bathroom, but Isabella kept the door locked. Right away, he realized that his wife was in danger. He ran to get his cell phone, and when he got back upstairs, he called the police. Under the bathroom door, there was a puddle of blood. He heard Johnny's last words, which were Jehovah, which is their name for God. The next thing that happened sounds like something out of a scary movie. Isabella opened the door to the bathroom. She had blood all over her body and was holding a knife. She walked past Ryan without a care in the world, as if he wasn't there, and then left the house. When Ryan went into the bathroom, it was clear that Youngmi was already dead, but he still tried to give CPR until help came. Johnny was declared dead at the scene, but she had been stabbed 79 times in her face and neck. There was also a baseball bat in the bathroom, and it looked like Isabella beat her mom with it before or after she stabbed her. When the police and EMTs got there, Isabella was nowhere to be found, which scared everyone because she had left the house with the knife. When they tried to find her by tracking her cell phone, she would just kill her mom, but this didn't work because her phone was off. Isabella was found the next day in a parking garage after someone saw her there and told the police. Isabella was accused of murder in the first degree, and since she was 18 years old, she was tried as an adult. This meant that she could be put to death. But this is where things evened out, even though Isabella was found to be innocent. Well, not completely innocent. During Isabella's trial, a doctor examined her and told the court that she had schizophrenia, a mental illness that can cause people to see things that aren't there and believe things that aren't true. The doctor said that Isabella didn't think she was killing her mom. She thought she was killing a woman named Cecilia, who she had to kill to save the world. Isabella was able to plead not guilty by reason of insanity because of this proof. This means that she was so mentally sick when she did the crime that she didn't know right from wrong. The court took her plea, which almost never happens, and sent her to a psychiatric hospital so that her mental sickness could be treated properly. Now we need to talk about what happened that made this case, which happened 8 years ago, a TikTok trend. Does that song come to mind? When Sweet But Psycho by Eva Max came out in 2018, it became very famous very quickly. It was a very catchy song, and the words were, well, let's just say they were a little controversial. Even Max was told that the song made mental illness look cool by saying that it's okay to be crazy, providing you're nice. Well, some TikTok users figured out what the song was about and started using it to describe Isabella. Isabella did some pretty strange things during her trial, which makes sense now that we know she had undiagnosed schizophrenia. Most of the time in court, she would look right at the cameras and make smiles that almost made it look like she was having fun. At her own trial, people started putting the words "sweet but psycho" over clips of her making faces and motions. This really brought Tik and Tok apart. Some people thought it was okay, and they could like Isabella's looks and still think what she did was wrong. But a lot of people didn't like this trend because it seemed like people were trying to forget what Isabella did just because she's pretty. Also, making fun of her behavior when she was mentally ill added to the stigma around mental illness. A lot of people, especially on Twitter, were called out for making these videos, and the trend finally went away. I'm glad this trend didn't last long, to be honest. And when I saw the movie that some people made, it was pretty disgusting. It's not okay to let someone off the hook for their deeds just because they're pretty or charming. On the other hand, making fun of someone who is having a mental health problem is also a very rude thing to do. Since she was sent to a psychiatric hospital, we need to prevent people from making content like this that hurts people with mental illnesses so much. Isabella hasn't been heard from much. Until November 2020, that was the case. Isabella gave her first interview since she was sentenced, and she said she feels ready to go back into society. She says that after years of therapy and medicine, she is no longer mentally sick. Isabella said it wasn't her when she was asked about the day she killed her mother, and now that she feels emotionally stable, she is no longer a threat to herself or us. That's not the only reason Isabella wants to leave the hospital in 2015. She was beaten 3 times by a hospital worker, and she's now trying to get him arrested and held responsible for his actions. There has been no news about whether or not the employee is being charged, and there is also no news about when Isabella will be freed. This case is definitely a big one, guys, but I think it's important to talk about these things, especially when social media is involved. Did you ever watch any of the Isabella-themed TikTok videos? When you saw them, what did you think? I can't wait to see what you all have to say and talk about in the comments below. Thanks for watching the video for today. Don't forget to click like and subscribe so you can see all of my new videos.